Are you ready? Yeah, they're behind me. I'll get us going. We need to get us going though. Tell me when you're recording. All right, thank you, ladies and sorry about that. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming tonight to the Tuesday, February 11th, 2025 finance meeting. I will now call this meeting to order, and at this point in time, I will yield the floor to Chairman Keller.
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome, everybody. First item on our agenda is consideration of a resolution authorizing the mayor and the city clerk treasurer to apply for a 90-10 grant to renovate the One West hangar at the Russellville Municipal Airport, sponsored by Patrick Karp, the airport director. What is the will of the committee?
Move for a discussion.
We have to have a motion, and then we discuss. We're not at agenda prep. We're
You're at finance. This is an actual finance meeting.
I'm going to move that we forward item number 1 to the full council.
You can make a motion for can you make a
Can
motion for informal discussion?
But if you make a motion, then you can. Yeah, you can make a motion to second and then discuss after.
We'll do that.
So there's a motion.
Mr. George seconded.
Okay. Is there any discussion on item number 1?
Maybe hear from Mr. Karp about this.
Mr. Karp, would you approach the podium, state your name for those at home, and tell them what you're wanting to do here at One West?
Patrick Karp, Russellville Airport Director. This hangar that we're looking at renovating is in the very front of our parking lot. It's 66 years old, the first hangar built on the Russellville Airport. And we're looking at painting the hangar, rewiring the hangar, redoing the soffits, and essentially making it presentable to the public. It's in the front of our parking lot, so it's something that's got to look good, along with our parking lot, which Mayor is on top of already. So we just want to look good to the public and be presentable.
What was the total value?
$192,000 total. That's the estimate.
Okay.
Estimate for the total project or what we would be?
Total project.
Total project. We'll be doing 10% of that. The thing is, really, the front door is the airport. The front door. The airport's the front door to the city. When people are flying in, developers, that's where they're pulling up and parking their jets. That's the building they're seeing. So, I appreciate Mr. Karp being conscientious about that.
Is our part the 119?
No, the 119 is the total. 119,000 is the total.
So
It's
it's
a 10% of that. Yes, sir.
So about 19 grand.
Is there any further discussion on item number 1? Okay, so we have a motion to move item number 1 to the full council. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Item number 1 passes or is forwarded on. Item number 2 is consideration of a resolution that authorized the destruction of accounting records for the year 2017 as authorized by ACA 14-59-114, submitted by Brittany Baker, Finance Director.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on item number 2? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Item number 2 is forwarded on. Item number 3 is an appropriation for the 2021 Economic Development Capital Fund carryover balance in the sum of $42,072.28 to be used to purchase a Kubota RV with boom and debris blower. Move that we send item number 1 to the full council with the recommendation of approval.
Second that.
Any discussion?
I got a question. Is this, whose item is this?
It's airport.
Oh, never mind.
No.
I was hoping this was going to be something we could use. Is this something we could use for sidewalks and trails?
It may possibly. I don't know if you utilize. I mean, we may, the thing is, Mr. Carp, they have to sweep the runway and the taxiway and everything. It may be something that we find that we may want to bring on. We may be able to test this out and see if it will work. He was asking if we could use that on trails, but I really feel like this may be something that we can look at and bring on trails possibly in the future. But Kubota is the one that we went with because it has the PTOs on the front and everything, and this is also going to be used as a tugger. They are moving planes around with a golf cart that's really on its last leg. So this is it's pretty rough out there. So, but they've made do. So I think this will be good. But I have not thought about this. I'm excited now that you say that we could possibly bring this on for trails, Mr. Olson. Sorry, Mr. Keller.
No, I would
sorry.
I would like to add to that too, because of after the snow, our sidewalks are in tough position,
Yeah.
especially our trail sidewalks.
Kenneth, you might be getting a Kubota. Or Terry. Kenneth or Terry. Yeah, Terry's like, I'll take Terry. Only you. Okay, sorry.
Any further discussion on item number 3? All those in favor of moving item number 3 to the full council?
Aye.
All those opposed? Item number 3 is moved on. Items number 4 and 4A. Items number 4 is an appropriation of the 2021 Parks and Rec Special Reserve Funds in the amount of $16,406.25 to be used to purchase design services for the Russellville Skate Park bathrooms. And item 4A is a resolution authorizing the mayor and the city clerk treasurer to enter into an agreement with HTW Architects for that design for the skate park bathrooms, sponsored by Mr. Thomas of the.
Motion to send to the full council with recommendation for approval.
I will second that. Any discussion on item 4A?
Where specifically would you think that bathroom would be there by the skate park?
It would be in the exact location of the building that's there, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
We're just gonna add on.
No, I think they're going to tear it down and just rebuild. Yeah, I'll tear that one down.
The plan is to tear down the old building that's there, because it's been there forever, and build new bathrooms. And right after that, we're gonna add skate features to the skate park right behind that building.
So it's not just.
It's all with a grant.
Okay.
Right, yep.
The good thing about this is you're going to have a trail that's going to be going along Second Street. So it's a very this is definitely a multi-purpose bathroom. This is going to be amazing.
Any other discussion on item 4A? Seeing none, all those in favor of forwarding 4 and 4A onto the full council, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Items 4 and 4A are moved to the full council. Items 5 and 5A. 5 is an appropriation from the 2021 Parks and Rec Special Fund in the sum of $209,022 to purchase new playground equipment for James School Park. And 5A is consideration of a resolution authorizing the mayor and the city clerk treasurer to enter into an agreement to purchase the new playground unit for James School Park. I move that we send items 5 and 5A to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is this gonna have, what's the playing surface on this?
The surface on this will be 2 different units. One unit's the playground, one unit's the swing sets. And both those units will be the turf. Match the rest of them, yep.
So you're gonna have turf. Is there gonna be some, because like with the basketball court, it's very stylized, is this going to fit the motif, I guess?
Yes,
of,
if
yeah.
you saw the pictures of it there, those are not the colors we're using. Those were just what they sent us as a reference.
Yeah.
We're gonna pick the colors to match the basketball courts.
Okay,
yes.
cool.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I think with, we got the Lattimore Tourist home there, we got the basketball courts, like, this would
Yeah,
be a
it's
great
gonna
addition.
it's gonna blend in.
to
It's
that
not because
neighborhood.
it shows orange and
Yeah.
some other color.
That's
on
why
it.
I
That
asked.
does not work.
I was
So
like,
yes,
that
it
doesn't
will
really
blend
work.
in with the park, yes.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion on item 5 or 5A? Hearing none. All those in favor of moving 5 and 5A to the full council, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Items 5 and 5A are moved to the full council. Item 6 is an appropriation from the 2021 Parks and Rec Special Reserve Fund in the amount of $36,466.20 to purchase a new fall zone surface for the Crawford Park Playground Unit. I move that we send item 6 to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Any discussion on item 6?
Turf.
Turf, yes.
Is this for the,
That is our last playground that has the rubber squares. So now all of them will either have turf or the mulch.
It will be mulch,
We work towards replacing that mold.
except where there's mulch, yeah.
Yeah.
Be turf.
Question again?
You know, he was asking, Mr. Earls was asking, could you work towards replacing the mulch in the areas that do still have mulch?
Yeah.
We can, it's a lot more expensive. We did the playground at Washburn, we just redid it, it's a brand new playground, it has mulch under it. And then the one at Sequoia has mulch under it, which is a brand new playground. And the one at Hickey has mulch under
Okay.
it. There's 3 playgrounds that have mulch under them.
Okay.
Maybe we can come up with a plan to do one a year or something. Just-
Yeah, like
Right,
how
yeah.
much,
That'll be the next phase, because James is the last playground that we have to replace. And then this is the last playground that's got that terrible rubber tile under it.
Yeah.
And hopefully, in the years coming up, we can start working on the others that don't have the carpet under them or the turf.
Okay.
That'd be great. And I'm assuming this is getting paid out of the 1 cent.
Yes.
Yes. Another example of your 1 cent sales tax at
Well,
work.
how much more expensive are we talking? Because, you know, with the James School Park, it's going to be 200,000. This is only 35, 36. What's the difference in turf?
Well, on
versus-
average is probably, I'm going to say those playgrounds are about the same size, so I'm going to say 36 to 45,000 a playground.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think planning on upgrading one a year is a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
any more discussion on item 6? All those in favor of moving item 6 to the full council with a recommendation of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Item 6 is forwarded to the full council. Items 7 and 8 are grouped together. Item 7 is an appropriation from the 2024 General Fund carryover in the sum of $25,034.75 to be used to purchase an 18-foot Land Pride all-flex mower. Similarly, item number 8 is an appropriation from the 2024 General Fund carryover in the sum of $19,758.75 to purchase a Land Pride all-flex mower. Move that we forwards items 7 and 8 to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Any discussion on items 7 or 8? Okay.
So, can you explain that to me real quick? What is it? what am I
The
looking-
difference is one's an 18-foot, one's a 12-foot. What we're doing is we're replacing 2 of our bat wings, and that way we'll have 4 bat wings that are exactly alike. And then our newest bat wing that we're taking out of the fleet, we're transferring to the airport. And then we've transferred a tractor already to the airport, so they'll have a bat wing and a new tractor out there also.
Which is going to be amazing at the airport.
Yes.
Is that one of the bat wings we purchased like a year or 2 ago?
Yes, we purchased 2, I think 3 years ago maybe.
Okay. Any more discussion on items 7 or 8? Hearing none, all those in favor of moving items 7 and 8 to the full council with a recommendation of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Items 7 and 8 are forwarded to the full council. Item 9 is an appropriation from the 2024 General Fund carryover balance in the sum of $25,000 cover the annual transfer for future network infrastructure needs. Move that we forward item number 9 to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Any discussion on item 9?
Do we have a balance on that?
That was started last year. That's the first, last year the council agreed to, at the end of 2023, the council agreed to start putting $25,000 a year, so you'll have a balance of $50,000 after this. That's basically to prepare us for any large ticket items in the IT department.
I love socking away the money for stuff like that. All those in favor of moving or forwarding item number 9 to the full council with the recommendation of approval, please say aye. All those opposed? Item number 9 is forwarded. Item number 10 is an appropriation from the 2024 general fund carryover balance in the sum of $225,000 to replenish the capital asset fund building cost budget. Move that. Second. Any discussion on item 10?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry. I've got a lot of questions tonight. I apologize.
No, that's all right. That's what we're here
That's what
for.
it's for.
You're taking money from the general fund and putting it into the capital fund.
No, this is general fund. This is every year we take from the carryover. This is the carryover from the previous year, and then we put it into what's called the capital asset fund. So that's where we get repairs for buildings and different things, and if we're doing any renovations on buildings. So like you might, if you have HVA systems go out, if you have like last year we had a heater go out at the aquatic center and different things, anything that is a capital item, we put that over into that fund. So it's already appropriated. So there's a $225,000 appropriation right now. So then maintenance, you can spend out of that because it's already appropriated without having to come back and have appropriations for those items. So it's a yearly transfer. Thank you for clarifying that for those at home.
Any further discussion on item 10? All those in favor of moving item 10 to the full council with the recommendation of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Item number 10 is forwarded. Item number 11 is an appropriation from the 2024 general fund carryover balance in the sum of $41,279 to purchase a multi-use CenterPoint fund accounting software with installation and 12 months of support. Move that we forward item number 11 to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Any discussion on item number 11? Mayor, what can you tell us about that one?
The biggest thing I can tell you is it is 2025. We have 250 employees, and we still use paper timesheets. So, okay, so that's we definitely need an updated software program. This program was bought in 2007. It's one of my goals when I became mayor 2 years ago. Is kind of, I know it's our goal to equip all of our people with the best equipment, the best things to be more efficient. This is a program that is going to help each and every admin in the department. It's going to help HR be able to keep better records. It's going to allow us to actually have an accurate snapshot of where we are financially. When we, like if you were to go in and want to get a item, know where we're at right now financially on our current software, it's going to tell you where we were at the end of January. It cannot give us an up-to-date, accurate number. We're very, our finance department is working very handicapped on some stuff. They do an amazing job. They have to supplement with tons of Excel spreadsheets to be able to keep accurate accounting, but we're working on something that's 18 years old, and I'm not sure we've ever had an update on it that I can tell. So it's a great thing, and it's going to be so much better for our payroll department. It's going to make us a lot more efficient.
This is basically like QuickBooks for municipalities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Over 50%, well, let me give you this. When we talk to municipal leave, over 50% of the cities in Arkansas are using this software. We are the only one in Arkansas using our existing.
Yeah.
So there's a reason. So when we talk to Cindy Frizzell at the Arkansas Municipal League, and they're the ones that we went to, and they're leading us to this. So
Will this be $40,000 a year?
No,
Or is it like
no.
this is the upfront?
no, this is up front.
Training
They're having
and
to
all
build
that.
this for us, and I
Okay.
think it'll actually be less than what we're paying for our existing year to year. And the beautiful thing is this is an in-state company out of Maumelle.
Cool.
So their support will be in Maumelle, and so
Gotcha.
they're close, and there's so much positive about it. I could
Yeah,
talk for a long time. They come up and visited with us, and so we're excited about it. I'm telling you, I'm excited about it to be able to know, say, hey, I need this number, and they can actually give me an accurate number.
No, I know we had a very spirited and lively conversation about getting rid of paper timesheets.
Yes.
When we were in Little Rock. So
Yes.
yeah, that's. All those in favor of forwarding item 11, to the full council with the recommendation of approval, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? Item number 11 is forwarded. Item number 12 is consideration of a resolution to authorize the mayor and the city clerk treasurer to execute an agreement to amend the CMAR contract with Blackstone Construction to install removable crash bollards in the downtown streetscape project. This is sponsored by Public Works.
Discussion.
Oh, you need a motion in a second.
Move for discussion.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor of discussion?
Let me just kind of lead with that, if that's okay. We've Mr. Newman and I have been talking about this for months. We've had this conversation, and the situation, unfortunately, in New Orleans around Christmas time really brought this to light of how bad this is needed. So when we do block off downtown for events, whether it be Fall Fest, Art Walk, different things like that, we have signs there that just literally can be moved, can be driven through. So this will, in certain areas downtown, give us the ability to put actual steel bollards in the ground that will prevent people from driving through, and it'll make us make our downtown a much safer environment. So this is something we've been really working. Mr. Urbach back there, he's been working with us, and so it's something we've been wanting to do, and so Mr. Newman and Mr. Urbach have worked that out, and I think it's a great thing for safety of our citizens, and any other questions we can answer.
Do you have an approximate dollar?
That should have been there's the dollar amounts in the package, isn't it? What was it off the top of my head? I didn't. It's 245. Yes. 245. Yeah.
For the Blackstone contract.
And that will take care of multiple intersections on the north side of Main Street, and it will also take care of the intersections at Boulder and Commerce on 2nd Street due to the new development over here with Point Remove, so that we can be able to block those off. Am I correct in what I was saying there?
Yes.
So we have multiple different designs that we can put off, but these are also removable. The key being removable, because if we do have to get life safety in there, we're able to get life safety in there as far as fire and police and EMS. So.
Does this include the trailers and all the things needed to make personnel?
There's two requests in this package, essentially. There's one with a contract with Blackstone, which is the bollards installation, the caps and the covers. And then we have a second request included in here to purchase a 10-ton bumper pull to store these each bollards, I think, are 125 pounds apiece for reduce the labor, movement, and time to install that. So we have two separate requests in the package for you.
Was there any particular reason why, when we were looking at the south side of where we were going to put these, that we only put them in those two spots, as opposed to like widening the area?
We could widen the area if you would. We just didn't see blocking on. We don't block off that area a lot. We do see in the future doing some events with Point Remove. We've had some discussion with them. I have no objection of expanding this, because I think it's great and the potential is good. So if we did want to block off some, I definitely have no objection coming back and asking and having Mr. Newman and Mr. Urbach revisit that, and possibly, if possible, if we could pass this at this point in time and have basically a change order come back to an additional order for the rest of them. I think that would be easier. That way that we can go ahead with this. But the thing is, now is definitely the time, Mr. Keller, because as we are tearing up the road, it allows Blackstone to be able to put that base in there at this time to make this actually functional.
Yes. And we would definitely entertain other locations. This was just the scenarios, gives us options on what the city has historically utilized to block off in certain areas. So we didn't want to identify every single intersection, because this is something that we don't typically block every intersection. So we're trying to be prudent. If there is a scenario or location, we'll be happy to evaluate and pursue that.
Is this I know that these are the ones that we can put into the base is going to be there and we put them on the base.
Well, no, they're not going to put them in the base. They're actually going to go into the ground. There's going to be a hole in there. They'll
Okay.
actually go into the ground.
So wasn't there a discussion at one point in time where there was also going to be some movable ones that could be used in other areas?
I'm not sure what we talked about there.
No, one of
No.
the discussions we had was the ones we're talking about are the crash, the resist crash, and then some of the others on the interior streets. We talked about some that were more lightweight, cheaper.
That was the discussion I was remembering. I move that we forward item 12 to the full council with a recommendation of approval, and I would love also to that to see some, like, what it
Some
would
additional?
cost to
Okay.
put some in that whole area that.
Mr. Newman, if you'll get with me, we'll look at downtown and we'll get with Mr. Erbach. Thank you so much, both of you, for your work on that.
Almost done.
So all those in favor of moving item 12 to the full council with a recommendation of approval, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Item 12 is forwarded. Items 13 and 14, no objection, I'm just going to group those two together. Item 13 is discussion and consideration of a resolution authorizing the mayor and the city clerk treasurer to execute an agreement with the Arkansas Valley Alliance for Economic Development for services for the calendar year of 2025. And item 14 is a discussion and consideration of a resolution authorizing the mayor and the city clerk treasurer to execute an agreement with the Arkansas Valley Alliance for Economic Development for economic workforce development for services in the calendar year of 2025. Both are sponsored by the Arkansas Valley Alliance for Economic Development and for economic workforce development as well. I move we forward items 13 and 14 to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on items 13 and 14?
Isn't that all one contract now? Why do we have two separate items?
Mr. Smith, okay.
It is. It is combined as one contract.
So when we vote on it Thursday, we can just vote on one item? Yes.
Just confirming.
Number 13 addresses both, and the resolution and the contract includes both services now.
Okay. Thank you for clarification, Mr. Smith.
Any more discussion on items 13 and 14? All those in favor of forwarding items 13 and 14 to the full council with a recommendation of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Items 13 and 14 are forwarded to the full council. Item number 15 is a discussion to revisit and possibly join the Metro Little Rock Alliance for 2025, which would give the city of Russellville the opportunity to recruit an industry from the Metro
MLRA.
Little Rock Alliance. The price for joining, or the cost, would be $7,823. Entertain a motion to open up for discussion.
Motion to send to the full council with recommendation for approval.
Second.
And then,
Any discussion?
Dr. Selman, could you please answer us some questions about how?
Mr. George, we're going to before we can send that, we're going to actually have a contract. We'll have to have a contract for us to have approval we don't have that in this packet right now. So, Ms. Hillman, if you would, please come forward. But what we can do is put it on next week's finance meeting.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So it's
but
only for discussion.
We can have everything, but we can discuss this, but we can have everything you need by next week we'll have that to Ms. Skelton for next week's finance meeting so that we can vote on it. Just wanted to clarify.
Okay, perfect.
Tell us about the MLRA.
Okay, so basically, I can go into it and we can talk about it as much as we want, but I am recommending that the city, who has done so well, we've had so much success lately, so I'd say we're like the league champs, and I'm recommending that we play travel tournament ball now. And that's what the MLRA is. It's a regional economic development organization in the 12 counties in central Arkansas that are members. Are winning, and they're doing a lot of things statewide. In your packets, you've got like a 2024 annual report. I'm going to go over some of those services that are provided. This membership includes that. This is all at no additional cost. So lots of retail recruitment opportunities, lots of industry recruitment opportunities, and you're meeting with site consultants. They're coming to your community. They're evaluating, what you've got to offer, how you should be marketing, where's the next piece of property that Russellville should be looking to purchase for industry, what's your next retail opportunity, and then this group goes and travels to huge conferences and expos across the United States, and Russellville has a seat at the table. So when they're meeting with these developers, when they're meeting with these industries, Russellville's right there. We've got a package ready to go to present. When those site selectors are coming to Arkansas, we're in those conversations. We're part of hosting those individuals. It also gives you access to EMSI labor analytics software, the data software that we looked at last year that would produce some of the data that we need. We looked at it around the eclipse time. It was about $100,000 annually cost to get that data. This is included as a free service in your MLRA membership, along with training. They offer lots of training, business retention training, business expansion training, foreign direct investment summits. They have, this list goes on and on. They do a marketing campaign every year made in the metro. And so you for free, they come, they make a commercial about your industry, what's being made in Russellville, all of those things. And then they disseminate it far and wide to their network of developers across the nation. So they do that digital marketing. They also have a legislative influence. They work really hard on the Arkansas Incentives Task Force, and I think that Russellville will want to be in those conversations, especially during session. You'll see some of those bills begin to run this week and next, centered around how we are able to legally incentivize. In Arkansas right now, we can't legally incentivize retail. And so those are the discussions that we're seeing happening. And I think it's important for Russellville to be at the table. We are more of a secondary market. We're not Little Rock. We're not Northwest Arkansas yet. So some of these things are really critical to help us compete. And, on these task force will be the Secretary of Commerce, Hugh McDonald. I mean, you've got some people that can really impact change very quickly. And I think that it would be beneficial to be in those conversations. They do an annual regional wage and benefit study. We do a Russellville one every year, but we'll be participating in that. Industrial Asset Management Council will be participating in that. They also do RFI support. So as we compete for projects that come to us that maybe didn't come through the Metro Little Rock Alliance, you can go to that group and they'll help you as you compete. They'll help you be the liaison for those visits. They do an annual New York City site consultant trip, and some of the executives from Dassault Falcon Jet, L'Oreal, some things like that. Those connections are made during the year. So for the price of membership, it's at $7,823. I really think Russellville would be getting a lot of bang for your buck. The membership is a municipal membership. So, I'm not asking for the money. Doesn't come to me. We don't make a dime. Just would love to support the city and see them play on that team.
We went to Little Rock and met
Yes.
with them, and met with them also with Cabot at the same time, who's members, and very impressed, and what they're offering, and as you look at what this is not a negative statement against the AEDC. AEDC is a great partner, but they're different offerings. What the AEDC is showing us and what they're showing us is two different things. And so I think that just brings more opportunities to the table for us to tell the story. And like Ms. Selman said, it is a Russellville membership. This is not the Economic Alliance asking us to pay for a membership for them. This is a Russellville membership to this. So I just wanted to add that in there.
So is one of your goals not just to recruit industry to each of these cities that are part of this organization, but also to recruit industries that provide more competitive salaries and wages?
Yes, more and better jobs, definitely, to vet the industries, make sure they're going to be good community partners, make sure they're what we want in Russellville, make sure they're paying a quality wage and providing a quality environment. Another advantage, I'm glad you asked that question, is that a lot of larger companies view, when they say, like, we want to come to Little Rock, well, they view, they draw a 75-mile circle around Little Rock, and to them, that's Little Rock, because you're like Chicago, Detroit. When you look at the Little Rock Metro, we're actually in that, sphere in that region. And sometimes there's opportunity when you're in groups like this, you're kind of in the know. And so if a big project is coming to Little Rock, I can go look at the supply chain, and I know, okay, the supply chain partners are probably going to want to locate close to this new big industry, and Russellville may not be able to support the huge new automobile, and but we can support the guy making the part, and they can come to Russellville. We've got land for them. They've got jobs for us, and we've got an educational system at Tech and UACCM that supports this, so it can help me compete for some of those supply chain projects too. So I think it's a win. I think the price is reasonable, and the only reason we didn't take it to the county is because the dues are the way the dues are paid in Q4 of last year, it's like divided on a ratio countywide. So to throw a 13th county in was going to mess up everybody's dues. So they allowed us to prorate and join as a city. And we'll have the option next year to continue as a city or to join with Pope County and do a broader region, because we'll have the county would access extra land. We can compete with some more resources when those people are going to live and work in Russellville more than likely. So it's a great opportunity, I think, for the city of Russellville.
So the $7,800 that's an annual thing. That's not just getting the game funds, right?
Yes, it's an annual thing. The Alliance, that's a good question. The Alliance is committed to cover my travel expenses, and so we won't come back and ask for money for these visits. So that's the piece that the Alliance is going to chip in, and whoever from the city would be welcome to accompany me as well. And then the membership would land with the city annually, potentially next year a partnership, city-county partnership.
I was surprised. I looked at the map, and geographically, we would be the westernmost member with a gap with Conway County there. And I noticed Clark County was in, so you're right about supply chains and potential being on the west. We're kind of the edge of central Arkansas, the beginning of northwest Arkansas, and I want to take advantage of that.
Yes.
And so I think this is a good opportunity to do that. My passion for geography. So when I looked at that map, I went, there's a hole right there, and we're the ones that can fill that. So
I think so too. And I've seen Arkadelphia win, and that's, Hot Springs is a member, and that's one reason we thought it was important to talk to Cabot. Maumelle, we've seen similar size markets winning, whether they're close in proximity to Little Rock or not. So the way that their bylaws read, which those are in your packets, and some of their non-competes, it's a very fair process, and it's very well governed so that there's not infighting within the metro. It really is a team effort. So last year I kind of just sat back and watched them work and realized that we need to be at the table, in my opinion. I hope you guys share that opinion.
Can you talk more about that non-compete? That was where I had my question
Yes.
then. So once we join, or if we were to join, what are we precluded from doing on our own? Or
Yes.
if we decide we want to court an industry and another community that's also in this wants to court it, does the Metro decide who gets to compete for this, or?
No, they support both. I think that this is designed so that I'm not So in your instance, there, we would both compete, they would support both, there would be no issue. This is designed so that I don't say, because I'm a member of this metro, I know something's coming into Conway, I'm gonna try to get it to come into Russellville with the information that I gained from the Metro Little Rock Alliance. It's just, I'm not gonna steal it, or even an existing business and, hey, we're trying to get so-and-so to expand here. Well, I think, there's an opportunity with that knowledge to pull them to Russellville, and so it just kind of governs that. But yes, we'd still get leads from AEDC, we could get independent leads, we could function just like we're functioning now, it's just
It's
another.
like if business A was in Conway, and they decided they wanted to expand, and they didn't know where they wanted to expand to, does that mean that Russellville couldn't say, hey, come and expand here because you're already there in?
Yes, no, it does not mean that. If the Metro Little Rock Alliance, if the company contacted the Metro Little Rock Alliance and said, we want to expand, that's fair game. If I went to a meeting and off the cuff, Paul Gray said, hey, I'm working on an expansion confidentially in Conway with this company, and then I went back and contacted the company to try to steal that information came from you. They didn't contact to spread the wide net through Metro Little Rock Alliance. You just told me that in a meeting, and I went and tried to take it. I think that's what this is trying to prevent, because a lot of confidential information, goes back and forth that when industry is looking to expand.
Thank you for answering
I
the
hope I
question.
answered that well.
Mr. Smith, I'm assuming a contract like this has an exit clause too that would be amenable to the city?
I have not got it
Wanted-
to him yet.
The one I sent out was an example from the City of Maumell's contract.
It's just a year long, so it's, again, if you don't find that the services were worth the price, then you don't have to renew it.
You don't have to renew.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Are there any other further questions on item 15, or any further discussion? Or any further questions for Dr. Selman? Okay, thank you, Dr. Selman.
Thank you.
Item number 16 is consideration of a resolution authorizing the mayor and the city clerk treasurer to execute the MOU between the city of Russellville and the Friends of the Lattimore Tourist Home, sponsored by city planner Sarah Jondal.
She's not able to be here tonight. That's going to be a discussion only because we're going to have that for Mr. Smith and I were just looking at this email, and we're going to have that for discussion only, and that's just going to be for us to execute, renew that MOU with Friends of Lattimore Tourist Home, and we'll have that for you on finance next week, if that's okay. Do you have anything else to add to that, Mr. Smith?
Substantially the same thing that we've renewed for the past 3 years, I think, so there's not any major substantial change at all to it.
And there's no timely issue with it, like they don't need this.
No, I
ASAP
mean,
for
no,
some-
like I say, we'll just do that next week, and everything should be fine.
Cool.
That's not going to, that won't, I guess you just answered it, that won't affect the grant that they're applying for.
No, I don't think so, no. I think we're fine.
Any more discussion on item number 16? Okay, we'll revisit next Thursday. And item number 17 is a discussion regarding the Russellville Playhouse from John Pistone, sponsored by Councilmember Paul Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Several of you have talked with Mr. Pistone. I'm sure I had a conversation with him, and I wanted to go ahead. Mr. Pistone and I decided it'd be a good idea to go ahead and bring this to council, get it out there. He's a River Valley native from Los Angeles. Been in Los Angeles, back here, working actor. I should visit his website. Pretty impressive, and wants to bring something to Russellville that I think we really need. And I know it's been kicked around by a lot of people, but Mr. Pistone is the first person I've seen with a prospectus and a business plan and some really good ideas for the community. So, Mr. Pistone, if you would come talk about your ideas and your business plan, and anybody can ask any questions that they'd like to.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Hi, I'm John J. Pistone. I'm with Bold Theater and Russellville Playhouse. Our goal is to build a community theater here in Russellville, and our proposal is to utilize the church here on Boulder and the white building that's attached to it as our base, because we'd like something downtown for the walkability score. We were surprised. I've been surprised. I grew up here, as he said, and kind of been planning this for a while. I've been surprised that there's not a community theater in a city of 30,000 people. There's a lot of talent here, and I think there's a lot of need for the arts, and I think there's a lot of people that, in the short time that I've moved back here, that I've been talking with, that they want a place to be able to tell stories, and there's no place to do it. And I think there's a lot of interesting and great stories that need to be told from the Arkansas River Valley, from Russellville specifically. So that's our plan. Any questions?
How many of you have seen his prospectus? So several of you have got that, and you've read it. You mentioned the church over here. The city does own that property, and when I spoke with you, you think it's suitable for your needs. And could you explain, out of your prospectus, that you're not looking for expenses from the city other than the opportunity to use that building? We'd have to come up, obviously, some sort of lease plan and that sort of thing.
Sure. Our plan is not to cost the city any money. We firmly believe, I've had some experience operating theaters for several years, firmly believe that we can raise the money to renovate the church and the white building next to it. The church itself is, without knowing yet whether it's deemed historic, that's probably a question I can ask you guys. Has it got historical statuses yet? Can we add on to that building? Those are questions we need answered. Ideally, to be able to take over the white building next to it, to be able to use for classrooms, secondary black box, that kind of thing. We would absorb 100% of that cost. We believe we can raise that. We've got a timeline of about 12 months in order to be able to raise for the full project, to do the fundraisers and the corporate marketing and sponsorships and donors and grants. We've already started applying for grants and things like that to be able to bring this project to Russellville. So we believe that we can absorb all the cost on that.
What's your estimation on the cost?
Without having a thorough estimate of it, I'm guessing anywhere from between $300,000 and $500,000.
Okay.
Just off the top of my head. I'd be surprised if it was less. We'd hope it would, but that's ballpark of where my head is based on what we need.
Mayor, wasn't there something with the annex building, water damage or?
There's asbestos in the annex building. There's water damage. There's lots of different issues in that. And our anticipation was to tear that down and put a parking lot there. So.
I'm all about somebody improving our property.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I don't know, that seems like a hefty task on that annex building.
Yeah. I think you're going to be a minimum, I think, of $500,000 to redo both of those, because you're going to have to bring them up to ADA accessibility. All the bathrooms have to be ADA, and so I think it's a heavy lift, but Mr. Stoney and I talked, and there may be somebody out there that's their wheelhouse, and they're like, hey, I'm willing to write a big check. It just depends. I don't know who that is. I don't know who that person is.
And it might be more cost effective to go ahead and level the annex building and build new. One of the thoughts that we had is if we had to do that, it might be more cost effective. We could use a steel building with the idea of part of our sponsorship drive and part of our community initiative would be if we utilize the steel building, but we want it to look like all the rest of the buildings in Russellville. So we would do a brick drive where families and companies can sponsor a brick that goes around the building, so it's permanently a part of the building. The goal with everything we do is to make sure the community knows that they have a permanent place, that they're a part of the community of the arts, that they can come and bring your grandchildren, years down the road, you can show them your brick on the side of the wall that, hey, we were a part of this, bringing arts to the River Valley. So.
I like it. I'm
And
curious to
you
see
have
what you come up
extensive
with.
experience. I mean, you had a theater in L.A., right? And
Yes,
you're
sir.
a working actor. You're not just.
Yeah, no, I'm a full-time working actor. That's still what I do, yes, sir. So, and Owned and operated a theater for the past 5 years in Los Angeles, and the issue that we found, the reason why I still don't have it, is they sold the building from us and wanted to charge us a lot more than we could afford. As theater by design isn't designed to make money; it's designed to give back to the community. And I'm fortunate to have been mentored by a lot of really good theater companies in Los Angeles while I was operating mine and starting. And all of them that have survived have a partnership with the city. They have their buildings donated, and that's why they've been able to thrive and survive. So we're taking that business model and bringing it here, which is,
There have been a lot of discussions over the years about what we're going to do, what can be done with the church and the annex building. And I think that if we can do something, something that brings something that we don't already have. If there's a plan of action that isn't just the 5th of this or the 7th of that or the 3rd of this different offering, which all those things may have value, but something where it would be the only one in our community. I think that gives us an opportunity to, especially when someone else is going to be footing the bill on it, to explore this as an option, to give, we talk about youth sports and we talk about, our parks and all the different things, for our community. I think that this is a creative idea to bring something that is lacking, and potentially partner with someone on something like this.
Does any staff here, because I know Sarah's not here and Victoria's not here, what, is this building designated anything as far as historic?
I don't know that it's on the historic registry.
I don't think it's registered. I don't know if it has any placement whatsoever.
I don't believe it is. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't be placed there.
Yeah, I'm not actually even looking for that because in other cities, I've been to places that are everything from brew pubs to theaters like this that were former churches. And it's a pretty magnificent spot for something that Mr. Pistone is trying to do. And he's even got plans to, where the church is currently set up, he might flip it and the performance area would be on the other end. So he's really thought this through, and we had a long conversation. But anyway, I am the same with Mr. Keller. This is something I still can't believe we don't have. We have all this talent. Russellville High School has a premier drama program and has for 25 years. Arkansas Tech, the talent out there. We've got a lot of adults in this community that would be in productions and things like that. And then if you haven't had a chance to sit down with Mr. Pistone, I would encourage you to get in touch with him and sit down with him, because he's not only got the vision, but it's also, we got even talking about mental health in our conversation about the arts and mental health, and how, well, maybe, can you just tell that quick story? Yeah, it was.
So, the arts have saved my life multiple times. Growing up here, needing an escape. When I got out after I joined the military, when I got back my last tour from Iraq, I was very close to just packing it in. And I had a chief pull me aside and tell me, you have the ability to tell stories, and you're breathing other people's air, the ones that didn't make it back. You owe it to them to tell stories. And what I've learned and that's what got me doing this full time. And what I learned from storytelling and being a part of live theater, and whether it doesn't matter if it's live theater or music or movies or film or anything dealing with dance, anything with the arts, every night that there's a performance, every single night, there is somebody watching who is on the very edge of just checking themselves out. Because that's why we go to entertainment, to get out of our heads and to get away from all the pressures, life pressures that we have. That's why movies thrive during times of economic depression. Entertainment, alcoholism, all that stuff thrives because we want an escape. That's the responsibility of those that tell stories and those that are in the arts, is that we owe it to them to provide a place where they can go and get out of their heads, even if it's for a minute, to maybe rebalance them and go, you know what, my life isn't so bad. I've gotten into their world on stage for a while. I've been sucked in, and you take a look back and your life isn't so bad, because it's every night at a concert. No matter what the arts is, there's somebody there that is on the edge of just losing everything. And that's what the arts does, and that's why I think it's so important, especially here, again, knowing what it's like to grow up here. There's not a lot to do. There just isn't. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, there's not much to do. So what do they turn to? They're going to turn to drinking. They're going to look for that escape. Hopefully, we can provide them a place where they don't have to turn to anything else. The arts could be that for them.
And it's not just a theater. You've got educational programs, training, all this kind of other stuff that you would offer as well.
That is correct. I have a program for veterans, a creative writing program to get them involved, teaching, classrooms, adults. And, we understand not everybody's going to want to be an actor. Not everybody wants to be on stage. But there's all kinds, every job you can think of is involved in theater. Set building, costuming, lighting, sound. We can provide those kind of opportunities where maybe they can find their career or find a second career or whatever it is. And so we have a plan for the youth, for veterans, for people that normally wouldn't go to theater. And we're not selfish, so we want this to be a place where there's a bunch of theater groups that just don't have a place where they can go. There are shows that I don't like to produce. Those are the people that would do those for us and helps fill our year.
So I
Yes,
love the
ma'am.
idea. I love talking to you. You've done a ton of research on this, which I really appreciate. But my question is this: if for some reason the annex building is not fixable, you can't fit what you need into the church, right? We would have to find a bigger.
Yes, ma'am. We'll need a second space because obviously you got a set building. If we're gonna have classrooms, the church just is too thin and narrow. There's not the options for that. So we would need another space. It doesn't have to be right next to it, but obviously that's ideal. I know there is also the space at 317 Main where the old Ritz was, but we don't know if the city, I haven't gotten any information on who owns that open lot.
Oh, that's not available.
So
I
we're
get you
open to other areas, but we do want to stay downtown because of the walkability score, and also to be able to support the other local businesses, Point Removed, Old Bank, Pasta Grill, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's another thing. He wants to utilize downtown businesses and partner with them. You said youth. Any of the youth council, this is something you're always telling us don't have anything to do. Anybody got any thoughts on this or anything you'd like to share? Crickets? Really? All right.
Yes,
No, I told him beforehand I was going to put him on the spot. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Olson has something.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
No, I was just going to say the same thing. Like, I'm excited to see something like this come to our community and love to see where it goes. It sounds like there's a little legwork to do, and I look forward to seeing what you bring back.
So I get that in my business mind is what do you want him to bring back? Because in my mind, I'm like, well, then you need to. In my business mind, it's like I need an architect to tell us what needs to happen. I need a set of plans of where that's going to go, and then you get a cost estimate of what that's going to cost, and then get a marketing plan of how you're going to raise set amount of dollars is in my mind set where you would want to go. Does that track right or not?
Well, I mean, I think the first step is to get a preliminary plan. I mean, just we don't have to go. I don't think anything with full drawing sets and all that stuff. I don't want to spend a whole lot of money on it yet, but get a feasibility.
Feasibility.
just- no, not like a whole study, but get somebody to look at it. And he probably wants to go look at it and bring a contractor along, whatever. Find out what that's going to cost to see if it's even possible. That's step one, and then come back and visit us and go, well, I've done this and this and this, and it looks like it's actually feasible, and it's not going to cost you any money, and we're all going to say yay and go ahead.
Mr. Pistone, have you
Yes,
had a
sir.
chance to actually go inside the
Yeah,
building?
yeah.
So
Only inside the church, yes, sir. I've
Okay.
been inside the church. We haven't had a chance to view the other. We've got all the other components ready, the marketing plan. As I said, we've got a comprehensive list of every business. here that we're going to approach and every grant that we're approaching. The only thing we don't have is, we can't sell anything unless we know where we're going to be. And then we don't know what that cost is going to be because, again, we don't know, are we looking at empty land or, if we can get the church and the building next to it, then we go, okay, we have these spaces. What are we going to need to do to make it feasible? But the other components we have ready to go.
So I personally would like to see a preliminary cost mock-up, 1, 2, revenue of how it's going to get paid for, and some kind of, timeline and assurance that we're not going to be sitting looking at a half worked up building for the next 3 years.
Right.
That's where my mind's at.
Roger that.
So do you
Yeah,
want
so I
to,
guess you're looking sort of for, not really our blessing yet, but that we're, I guess what I'm asking for the council tonight is we're kind of a willing partner to start exploring this and see where we can go. And eventually, some sort of agreement with the city that once Mr. Pisoni's got funding and everything else starting to line that up, that we can come up with a contract of here's this building, use it for this purpose, and Mr. Smith can help us with how long and $1 or whatever a year, whatever it is, to come up with something like that.
okay. All right. You just contact City Hall and you can we can get you access to the building if you want.
Okay.
The white building, and then I guess we can bring you back on March 11th to agenda prep. Would you guys?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
All right. Entertain a motion?
Is there
Or no,
any-
actually, you got to yield the floor first.
Is there any more discussion for item 17? Okay, seeing none, I yield the floor back to the mayor.
Entertain a motion? Motion
Second.
adjourned. We will adjourn for about 60 seconds for Mr. Skelton to go back and pick up a couple pieces of paper and get back. Actually, that was an hour-long meeting, so let's adjourn for 5 minutes, let everyone go to the restroom real quick. We will reconvene. Yeah, but the thing is, they want us to be parking. They want to keep the building so we won't be getting any extra parking. Oh, we need to. I don't know. It's a city problem. Yeah, we need to do something. Sorry, I couldn't make it. If I'd have had my own car, I'd have left where I was at, come over and listen to music and drink.
We went to we got to the punch house. Whose house was it? We started putting some stuff in.
All right. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll reconvene for for the February 11th agenda prep. All right, Kenneth, you got your 2 minutes and 2 seconds for us? All right, you got 30 seconds for us. Well, you got a prayer list. Where is it in here?
So I'm sure all of y'all's drove down East Main and saw the sidewalk going in. It's going fast. So we've had no issues to speak of at this point. So hopefully that'll continue just moving right on along and be done before we know it. So, and I was going to talk about just give y'all a heads up on another job.
I just want to clarify real quick about the sidewalks and for the people watching at home.
Yes.
We are doing the sidewalks because the city owns the sidewalks. We're not paving Highway 64 because
No.
the city doesn't own Highway 64.
No, we don't own
Yeah,
Highway
okay,
64.
Yes.
Definitely not. Good point. So I might have got one of those calls tomorrow. So
Are those sidewalks being built with our 1 cent sales tax?
yes.
Yes,
Of
another
course.
example of your 1 cent sales tax at work.
Everything
Wow.
I do is with the 1 cent sales tax. So anyway, so we're building a one-way emergency access road for like fire trucks. If y'all remember, we talked about closing 7th Street at the railroad. So this is out for bid. So this is going to happen soon. So we're putting that access in just for emergencies in case we don't want, of course, you don't want a fire truck to get trapped or anything. So that's coming soon as well. That's all I have right now.
All right,
Y'all got
thank
some
you.
questions?
I got 2 things. One, would you like to explain this piece of paper that you told us about, or that you gave us about the enforcement of mowing in the right of way?
That's on the discussion.
Oh, it's in the.
Yeah, it's the
Okay,
last
we're
item on
good there.
discussion. Yes.
Perfect, Beautiful.
Yes.
And then secondly, while I got you, I've been running on the trails there behind Kroger, whatever that.
Okay.
Schoolhouse Trail. And the latest edition, it seems like the lights are directional lights and they didn't get installed in the proper directions. So they just need to be checked. If you
We
could
can
take a look
adjust
at that,
those.
that'd be great.
We'll get that taken care of.
Beautiful, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions?
I think that's it.
Thank you.
All right, now we have a special guest from far and wide, Jerry Chisholm from the Arkansas Division of Aeronautics. He's going to come in and kind of share a little bit with us about what's going on and talk a little bit about Russellville Regional Airport and Arkansas Division of Aeronautics. Welcome,
you.
Jerry.
I don't know about special, but I'm a guest.
You are
How about
special,
that?
yeah.
We'll go with that. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight to talk to you just for very briefly. I know you're on a schedule, and I want to be respectful of that, so I'm going to fly through my presentation.
No pun intended.
So if see what I did there? So we're going to go. I want to take just a few minutes, tell you a little bit about our agency, what we do, then a few comments about general aviation in Arkansas and why it's important, and then we'll wrap it up with a few comments about your airport. So I'm not tech. There we go. Our agency is a very small agency. Probably, I would guess, probably two of you in this room, the mayor and Patrick, have heard of our agency. It's the Arkansas Department of Commerce, but we're the Division of Aeronautics. And basically what we do is we're similar to a state version of the FAA, although we don't have any regulatory authority. The FAA makes rules, we don't. We help airports try to make improvements through our grant program that we have. I noticed you guys voted, thank you very much, on the one for the hangar there. That's a beautiful opportunity to really dress up. And Mayor, I appreciate you saying your airport is your front door, because it really is. And when corporations or businesses are looking for places to locate or to expand, you know, the executives don't come to town on Greyhound. And so having a good airport is a vital link in having your community be one of the considerations for those economic development things that she was talking about just earlier. So thank you for the support you've given to your airport. Appreciate that very much. Let me see if I can figure out which one of these buttons will make this go. There we go. I told you we're a small agency. We got 6 approved positions. There's really only 4 of us there right now. So I'm the director. We have a state airport engineer. That's Richard Mills. He comes out and does what we call a 50-10 inspection on behalf of the FAA. And Patrick's familiar with that very much. And what we do is we drive around the airport. We look at things that might be a safety issue or infrastructure issues that we can help with. Make sure the approaches are clear. It's not a pass or fail kind of thing. We don't condemn you if you don't pass. We just say, hey, here's some things we've seen we think you should work on, and it helps keep the airport moving in a direction that keeps it safe and operable. We operate with a commission similar to the Highway Commission. There's 7 members appointed by the governor. There's 1 from each of the congressional districts and then 3 at large. They serve a 7-year term, and as you can see, they're from all around the state. They don't have to be pilots. It just turns out that all of them are, so it helps when we're talking about a project at an airport. They understand how the airport functions. Our mission statement's pretty simple. We just want to have good airports in Arkansas, and I travel around the country to meet with my counterparts from other states, and I will tell you, I'll put the airport system in Arkansas against the airport system in any state in this country. There is not a single public-owned, public-use airport in this state that I would tell you don't land on that airport, it's not safe. Not one. I can go to our neighbor to the west, and that ain't true. I can go to our neighbor to the south, and southeast, and east, and north, and it's not true. So we have a very good system of airports in Arkansas. It's not because of what we do, it's because of the way the system is set up and the way we're able to help airports with our funding. One of the things I think that's real important for people to understand about our agency is we don't get any general revenue from the state. We are funded entirely from special revenue, which is derived from sales tax on the sale of aircraft, aviation fuel, or parts and maintenance. Basically, aviation in Arkansas funds itself from that perspective. So we operate with a $15 million appropriation. What that means is we're authorized to spend $15 million, but I bet every one of you knows that Arkansas has a Revenue Stabilization Act, which means that we can't spend more than we bring in. So if we don't bring in $15 million in sales tax, we don't spend 15. The good news for us is the past several years we've exceeded that by 3 or 4 million. So this year we're on track to hit about 20 million. So we're going to have a little bit of money that we can carry over into next year. We don't lose it if we don't use it. It stays in the bank. But we're only authorized to spend 15 million per year. There are 90 public-owned, public-use airports in the state of Arkansas. Most people are shocked when they hear that. And every single one of them, as you might expect, a grant program that'll fund 90% of a project, they participate. And we want them to do that. We can't spend that money on anything else. And I'm a pilot, I want good airports. And so we tell airports, we tell mayors, we tell city councils, everyone we can, come get all our money you can, because we can't use it sitting in the bank. So if you have a project that's questionable, call us. We'll try to find a way to help you fund that. These are the grant programs that we have. If your airport is federally funded, and yours is, they fund 90% of the project cost on a federal project, and you're expected to pay the 10% match to that. We're one of 4 states in the country that pays that for you. So if the FAA funds a project at your airport, it will cost you nothing at the local community level. Federal government will fund 90%, we'll fund the other 10% for you. The rest of those grants are state-only grants, and you can see the caps on there. We do have to limit that, because if we didn't, an airport like Little Rock would come and say, we got a $25 million project we want to build, and we want it all. So we cap that for that reason, so that we can keep money in the bank to help smaller airports like yours, or even smaller ones around the state.
Jerry, can I interrupt you?
Sure, you can ask a question anytime.
Real quick, because I noticed 2 90-10 grants, and
Yes.
are we eligible for 2 different 90-10 grants per year, or are
Well,
we eligible for only one 90-10 grant a year?
One of those is the FAA, that one that said AIP.
Yeah.
That's the FAA funding. You can get all of those that the FAA will give you.
Mm-hmm.
If they'll give you 5 of them, you can get 5 matches from us.
Okay.
The state-only grant, you're eligible for 1 of each
Okay.
type of those. That's a very good question.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Okay.
So
All right.
you are eligible for 1 of each type of our grants per
Yes,
year.
and we
Unlimited
apply
coverage.
for that every year, and then but
Yes,
there
we-
is also a 90-10 through the FAA that we could
Correct.
apply for. Okay, thank you.
Correct. Yep. That's our income, as you can see, over the past, looks like 5 fiscal years. You can see we've exceeded that 15 million last year and the year before. There's fiscal year 2020. We all know what happened there. So aviation slowed down, and if you're sales tax funded, then when aviation grinds to a halt, your funding grinds to a halt. So we suffered a little bit there, but we've made a very nice recovery, I think, over the past few years. So why does general aviation matter? So first of all, let me tell you what general aviation is, because I use that term like everyone understands it, and if you're not a pilot, you may not. General aviation basically is everything other than commercial service or the military. That means it includes the weekend flyers, it includes business, it includes law enforcement, air ambulance, anything that's not military or not scheduled airline service constitutes general aviation. That's what most of the airports in the state of Arkansas support. Of those 90 airports, 8 of them have commercial service. Most people don't realize you can get on an airline in 8 different cities in the state of Arkansas and fly away. Now, I will tell you they're not all Boeing 757s, but they are scheduled aircraft, okay? And you may have one destination you're going to leave here and go to, or you're going to leave Hot Springs, for instance, and go to Dallas. That's your only option. But you go there and pick up a flight from a bigger airline and go on from there. So general aviation, as you can see up there, contributes a lot of money. And that's at the national level. In Arkansas, it's about $4 billion a year that aviation contributes. And I tell people, if I asked you what the largest export industry in the state of Arkansas is, most people will say farming, or they'll guess a lot of other things, but I've yet to have one guess the correct answer, which is aviation and aerospace. It's by far the largest export in the state of Arkansas. So it's important to the economy of our state. You can see there a lot of the things that general aviation serves: access for small communities, flight training, agricultural. We have, if not the largest, the second largest agricultural aviation fleet in the country. Search and rescue is obviously something very important. I'll tell you, just a couple of weekends ago, I had flown down to McGee, which, if you're not familiar with geography in Arkansas, that's way down in the southeast corner of the state. And at 1:30, my grandson called and said, I need you to be at Tucker Coliseum for a 3 o'clock tip-off. That's not going to happen on in a car. So I got in the airplane. I didn't make the tip-off, but I missed it by 4 minutes. So the fact that you have an airport here allows people to access your community that wouldn't be able to do so otherwise. After the game, the whole family went over to the Old Bank. Is that the name of it? Great place. Went over there and had a meal, got in the airplane and left. So having an airport opens your community to a lot of uses that people won't be able to do otherwise. There's that information about Arkansas. I'll tell you, that information is 10 years old. We are in the process of doing an updated study, economic impact study, for every single airport in the state of Arkansas. Hopefully, By the end of this year, I'll be able to hand your mayor a pamphlet that tells you exactly how many jobs and how much money Russellville Municipal Airport brings into this community. I'll tell you this, of all 90 of them, every single one of them had a positive economic impact. The airport brought in more money than the city or the county spent to maintain that airport. And I would be willing to bet that is still the case when we do the new one. So how are they funded? We talked a little bit about the Airport Improvement Program. That's the federal funding that we talked about earlier, where they will fund 90% of the project if your airport is eligible for federal funding. In Arkansas, out of the 90, 87 of them are. We have 13 that are state and local grants only. That's that second bullet point you see there. And then they obviously have some revenue generated at the airports. One of the things our commission really encourages is airports to do projects that generate revenue. Generally, that's hangar rental and fuel sales. There's not many other opportunities. Some of our airports over on the eastern side have farmland they can lease, or they have buildings they can lease out. But generally, it's fuel sales and hangar rental. This is what the type of activities that general aviation in Arkansas usually consists of. What I really draw your attention to is that second one from the left, corporate and business. Many people don't realize the number of corporate airplanes that fly in and out of your airports every day. I know that your airport a few years ago did a runway extension. We were able to help fund that. It added, I think it was 500 feet to your runway. It pushed your airport length, your runway length, past the magic number in aviation, which is 5,000 feet. That allowed your airport to access by larger corporate jets what they were doing is flying in, but they couldn't buy fuel because they're too heavy for the runway length, so they'd fly out somewhere else and buy the fuel. Lengthening that runway 500 feet made it where they could buy fuel here at your airport, generate some revenue here before they left out. That's the location of our airports around the state. Our system plan, which is basically just a report card we do of the airports about every 5 years or so, divides airports by how they're used. If you look at Russellville on there, it is a level 4, which means it's one of the bigger general aviation airports. We've scaled those from a 1 to a 5, with 5s being like Fort Smith, Texarkana, Little Rock, and XNA in Northwest Arkansas. 4s, Russellville, Pine Bluff, Searcy, the airports that have bigger business jet traffic, and then 3, 2, and 1 on down to the local airports. That's a map of where our agency has a project funded as of yesterday. And so you can see we've got a lot of projects around the state. So I said earlier that all the airports participate, and they do. And we're very thankful that we're able to help all of those airports make improvements to keep their airports open and functioning. One of the things we look at is safety. That's one of our primary objectives as well. So if you come to us with a project and it's a safety project, we're going to fund it. There is no question. When you look at that, that's a drainage inlet. If you can't really tell from that picture, but the pavement rolls down to that about 6 or 8 inches. It's about 8 inches below the level of that asphalt. If you look just right above our logo, you see 2 scratches there. That's where the nose wheel of an airplane dropped into that and the prop hit the ground. Not really a big deal, except that when you have a prop strike, you get an engine rebuild at a minimum of about $30,000 to $50,000. And you get to buy a new prop from about $8,000 to $15,000. So that little inlet being just below the surface costs someone $50,000 to $60,000. That's the kind of things we look for when we visit airports. There's another one. That's my hand for scale. That's a crack in the runway. Obviously, they need to do some work there. So we would go back, send the airport a letter and say, hey, we found some cracks at your airport. We suggest you do something about this. Come see us about a grant opportunity to make that a better facility. Safety also involves Mother Nature. That's a Baptist hospital helicopter. Had an unfortunate encounter with a couple of geese. Yeah, I didn't include the photo, but there's one I thought was pretty humorous. It shows that helicopter from a different perspective, and it says Baptist Hospital, and in the back there was a liquor store. So I don't know how that got into the newspaper, but that's where it was. Obviously, safety is something that we can't make pilots participate in. While that may look unsafe, it's actually not. But safety is a decision that pilots make that we don't have a control over often, but we can control things like the infrastructure at the airport, so we want to be sure we take care of that. There's another one. Guy left the tow bar on the front of the airplane. You can see that hanging from the front. He towed it out of the hangar. Forgot to take that loose, and that's going to make for a very interesting landing. One of the things that we've been proud of is that we established an aviation heritage trail through the Department of Heritage. There are several airports in Arkansas that are significantly important in aviation history. Lake Village, for instance, I'll give you a very brief story there. In 1922, I think it was, a young airmail pilot flying from Louisiana to Texas had an engine problem and landed on a golf course in Lake Village, Arkansas. His name was Charles Lindbergh. The the golf course manager took him to his house and fed him and said, you know, I've never flown around this area. I'd love to see it. And so Lindbergh took him for a night flight over the Mississippi River. What he didn't tell the golf course maintenance man was he'd never flown at night and never made a night landing before. So he landed back on the golf course. So the very first night landing that Charles Lindbergh ever made was in Lake Village, Arkansas. So there's some information in there about that. So we've got a lot of airports around the state that have some very interesting historical significance. That's a picture of your airport. And you can see some taxiway work going on that's the east, basically the east end over there, sort of the east end of it on runway 25 end. It's a great facility. You've got good taxiway access, you've got good approaches, you've got good facilities, so you have a very, very good airport. There's always work to be done. Any airport manager will tell you as soon as you finish one project, there's another one, unfortunately, but that's the way it goes. But you have a very good airport, so thank you for supporting that the way you do. Here's one of the things I want to leave you with. You know, a mile of highway takes you a mile down the road, but a mile of runway will take you anywhere in the world. So with that, I'll wrap it up, let you guys get back to business. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Thank you, Jerry.
You're welcome. All right.
And thank you for all the money you give us. All right, gentlemen, as agreed upon in your January 2nd meeting of policies and procedures, you said that you would pick someone to pray at the next council meeting at agenda prep. How are you guys so choosing? There is a list here, or do you want to go alphabetically? You want to go randomly? How randomly?
It's supposed to be random is what we
Was it?
agreed
Okay,
to.
so who's going to pick a number? I don't know.
How many do we have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Have 30. Have 30. The 11th? Today's the 11th. So where do you want to get a random number generator? I got it right here. So we got 30? Yeah, we got 30. Number 24.
Why don't you do a second and a third one in case they can speak?
Okay, that's good. 29 is going to be 2. 17. Okay. All right. We'll call those. That's what I got right there for you. Okay. All right. So moving forward, the unfinished old business that we're going to have is consideration ordinance rezoning certain property in the city of Russellville. And this is South Vancouver and West 12th. Do you have anybody that's going to speak? Old business, Phil Hutchinson. Okay. All right. All right. So, Mr. Hutchinson, if you would approach the... Do you have any new items that we've not talked about? Okay, good. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
yeah,
So
'cause
that we
we
have
were
not
hoping to hear
new
items.
new issues that we have not discussed. Okay, so Mr. Hutchinson, if you would approach the podium, please state your name for those at home, and you'll have 3 minutes. So,
My name is Phil Hutchison. I live at 1207 Whippoorwill Lane. I'm an Arkansas registered professional civil engineer, number 5179, and I was issued in 1981. Mr. Garza stated that the reason he could not build the development at the density he desired was because he could not get a variance from having driveways and garages on the front of the properties. The lots at Whippoorwill are 100-foot wide. The new plat that I've seen for this shows that two full lots, I mean a full lot and two partial lots behind my neighbor's house. That would make most the lots almost half the width of the current lots that are on Whippoorwill Lane and the other lanes that are around there. Making the project more profitable is specifically mentioned as not a reason to make the change. I pray that the members of the council will vote to deny the zoning change. I plead I plead that my two ward representatives and the mayor will provide a copy of the registered mail showing when the notifications for the R1 reduction in the size of the lots and the sides were set, because I've been here for quite a while, and I never knew that the R1s were reduced from what all the lots in the neighborhood there from Bradley to 12th Street were basically the same size. Okay, the surrounding area provides schools with a reasonable walking distance of this property. This is why it only scores 13 out of 100 for a walkable neighborhood. That score alone should be sufficient to deny this parcel to be a walkable neighborhood. The difficulties in building the buildings in the parcel that they're trying to do is because the roads have been blocked by building houses on the adjacent streets. The fact that the lots are currently on 12th Street back to the face of 12th Street also complicates this development of this land. On a typical day, the houses around Phoenix and Vancouver and Whippoorwill and 12 have 56 cars and one boat and 3 trailers parked on the concrete slabs at their driveways. So this new thing's not going to have standard developed streets. They're not going to have driveways that you can leave a vehicle on, and then or you can park things on. There's an area in the northeast section for approximately 158 acres that are now zoned walkable neighborhoods. They're walkable, I hope. And but why are they trying to, put this sorry. Every resident will be required to walk to a common mailbox also. That's what's shown on that drawing. In an area which is not going to have sidewalks or standard streets. There are several residents in the area right now that receive multiple deliveries from delivery services, UPS, Amazon, whatever. But there will now be a common mail delivery place so that the folks won't be, the deliveries may be challenging to get to the addresses that could be delivered in there.
All right, thank you, Mr.
thank
Hutchin.
you.
Thank you, I appreciate you.
I got close.
Yeah, but you give everybody it in writing, so that's so it got there. Thank you, I appreciate you. We also have Mr. A.J. Walsh. Mr. Walsh, if you would approach the microphone and please state your name for those at home.
Yes, and I will have something new too.
Okay.
The first thing that I have is, my name is A.J. Walsh. I live at 1010 South Tulsa, and I'm tired of drainage too. I'm sure y'all are. I think we've made our point in the drainage issue. Thank you for your patience. I want to look at it a little bit different way. We got off to a bad start. One of the reasons was that we were all blindsided in the fact that we were first notified on December the 17th. And I found out this morning that the application was submitted in December. So from, let's give it the 1st of December to the 2nd of January, the Planning Commission had very little time to do what they should be doing. We knew nothing about it, and it's a very, very flexible thing because of the fact that we've got a zoning change request, and then we've got a subdivision contraction that's the last piece of a subdivision, and it wants to be filled out and all of that. So it's a tough thing. If I offended you, I apologize. Nobody here offended me. Thank you very much. And I want to move on. What comes first? Walkable neighborhood or a 30-year-old zoning data? That's what I want to change the subject to. I want to hear some compelling arguments as to why we want to travel 1.7 miles from a designated walkable neighborhood zone to a 6-acre lot that is dead center of a 1 mile square R1 zoned residential area. What's going on? What's so important about that? I think I'm almost out of time. No, I got more time, so that's good. I want to remind everybody that certain people have stated that the home values are going to go up because the cost of the homes are going to be higher. And I want to remind everybody that comps are used by appraisers, and they only look at sale prices of previous sales within 6 months. It has nothing to do with the price of the house you buy. It has to do with what you can get for it when you sell your house later. It goes up and down, it's affected like that, but visually, a dense condensation of homes doesn't look good to most people that are out looking for a home. And so that's a concern of ours. I wish that was continued or added to your thoughts while you think about what we're asking you to do. Maintain status quo. Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry, I jumped there. That one got me. If that video had been on me, that'd have been kind of funny. I don't know. Thank you, Mr. Wall. Yeah, AJ saw that. He got a kick out of that. All right. So now we have Mr. Preston Root. If you would approach the podium and just state your name for those at home. Yeah, gosh, I jumped.
My name's Preston Root. I've given y'all a couple pieces of paper there. One of them in particular shows 2 plats. One of them's the actual walkable neighborhood, and the other one's the actual current R1 standard. The difference is the R1 would be about 6 less homes, but in turn, they're actually going to be smaller homes than what we can build with it being walkable, because we have to do the front-facing garages and we have to scoot the homes back. With the walkable, we're able to move the homes forward, get them closer to the front of the street, put the parking in the rear, and it gives the opportunity to build a bigger, nicer home there. There is a lot of sidewalks. I know that was mentioned a minute ago. There will be sidewalks all the way around this thing on both sides of the road. They're going to tie back into the sidewalks on Vancouver, tie back into the sidewalk on Sequoia there. So all that ties in together. There's some conceptual plans there in that other packet of just kind of the home style we're going for. They are more of a colonial looking home. They're not going to be a vinyl shotgun house or anything like that. We anticipate them to be nice homes, good curb appeal, good landscaping. Everything about it's going to be nice. As far as the drainage, Barrett and Associates looked at that, especially even after that last rain, and they should have a presentation next week on that. And they've redone all their studies. But I don't know if y'all got questions for me or for us on anything.
Hey, if you guys keep the zoning as R1 and you were saying the houses would be smaller, are you thinking like 2,000 square feet? Are you thinking, because we're talking about property values.
Probably closer to like 15 to 1,800, maybe somewhere in that range.
And walkable neighborhood was?
They're starting, most of them are 18 to, some of them can be up to 3,000. We've got lots to house bigger homes, especially in the corner lots. Most of them, the bigger homes would be 2-story to get the extra footage, but a lot of that's due to the rear entry garage, and we can get them wider on the lots than what the R1 allows us to do.
So if you were to build a 1,500 square foot in that neighborhood, that's considerably smaller than what's in that neighborhood right now, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Most everything in the other subdivisions, beside from the apartment complex that's right there adjacent from the roundabout, everything else in there is probably 18 to 2,000, I would say.
Okay, I didn't, okay.
Maybe 2,500.
What are you projecting the price per square foot to be on these,
I'm expecting them to be 200 plus.
on the walkable?
on the walkable.
Gotcha. The other ones are just basically a builder
That's right.
construction house.
There'll be more of a, spec home. What we're wanting with the walkable is to target a nicer neighborhood. We actually want it to be, not a shotgun, we're not gonna go in there and build 36 houses at one time. We're gonna concentrate and build nice homes all up and down the street.
But the plan is to build regardless, like, I mean, you are still going to build R1 if it doesn't pass at one point in time, right? Like, that is a future project, I guess?
Yes, we're starting to clear on it currently.
Okay.
Weather's kind of holding us up just a hair. If it would quit raining a bit, it would help. But I'm not mad at the rain. We need it.
And regardless what happens, either way, you still got to come back through planning commission to get drainage requirements passed and infrastructure stuff.
That's right.
Okay, so.
We can't start building until all that's in place. So once we get, okay, yeah, we can get it rezoned, we'll go forward with the final plat. We'll get all the drainage mapped out. We'll get, we'll have to provide all the fire hydrants. Fire will be involved. All the utilities are pretty much on site. It's not going to be a massive deal there, but yeah, all that still have to go be approved.
And let's say you did come back and there was, I see you've got the detention pond there, so if drainage does require that detention area, or maybe another detention area, if the city engineer says you need that, then that'd just be part of your project, right?
That's right. There's nothing we can, if the city comes back and says you've got to have it, that's why we have it mapped.
Yeah.
If we have to have it, then that's what we got to do. We've left an area. I think ideally it may get moved if we have to have it from where it's drawn on there, but we have a spot for it if we have to have it.
Mr. Newman, have you looked at these, have you looked at the detention? Not yet?
No, sir, the drainage model is not part of zoning.
Okay.
I've seen the one layout where they were looking at the zoning with the different layout.
It's the same one.
They have proposed that they were considering that would be something that they would look at, but hydraulically, we have not reviewed anything.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Newman, though, while you are there, so just to make sure that I'm understanding, and hopefully these gentlemen and the other folks who come and talk to us about this will, maybe it'll ease their mind on this. So if this is rezoned to walkable neighborhood, and then they bring the plans to you.
Yes.
I know there's been a lot of questions about, well, there could be potential drainage issues. That's at the point where you, as the city engineer, look at the actual plans of what is being proposed.
Yes, sir.
And say, no, this has to be changed because of potential drainage issues.
Yes, sir, that is correct. This, at this stage, it's like I said, zoning, and with development of any subdivision of any sort, if it's R1, R2, regular development, we look at the drainage scenario with that. So they'll provide a drainage report that will evaluate, that looks at the impacts of overall, and then they'll also have a detailed construction level review, and we'll review that process and evaluate the impacts, and if there's mitigation required per our code, then they will mitigate and meet those requirements. That's how we've done with every project that we work through.
And so if we say X, Y, and Z has to be done before you move forward, and those X, Y, and Z fixes any potential drainage issues that this project could have, then until X, Y, and Z are fixed on the plans, and until X, Y, and Z are done, shovel doesn't turn.
That is correct. We won't issue a grading permit until we have the drainage report and the grading plan meeting city requirements.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything else for Mr. Newman or Mr. Rude? All right, thank you, gentlemen. All right, moving on to new business. We have a consideration ordinance amending the Russellville Oakland Cemetery Code. This is to set a fixed range of Oakland cemetery commissioners. Many of the public don't realize that we own Oakland Cemetery, but that's just going to be fixing the range of their cemetery commissioners. Item 2 is going to be a consideration of an ordinance to rezone certain property from R1 to R2 medium-density residential. This is located at the 1000 block of Sequoia Way. If you're going down Sequoia Way somewhere around, that's probably around Houston Independence. You'll see some clearing there to the left. That's just rezoning of that. I think Melcor Construction is going to build some townhomes in there. And then item 3 is going to be the discussion that Mr. Olson was talking about regarding finished mowing and brush hogging, cutting in the city right-of-way. The story behind this is the city of Russellville has been mowing the right-of-ways around the city, and they should not have been. And so as we move forward into 2025, we are going to, I believe Ms. John Dahl may have sent, did she send anything out to you guys today? Did you receive anything email? Okay, yes, okay. So her concern is on enforcement there, but you will surely be getting some calls from your constituents when their yards are not being mowed and the property that they own will not be being mowed, and they'll have to pay someone to mow those. So that's a discussion we wanted to have tonight with you guys as we move forward, because Mr. Duval is not going to send his people out to mow, and Ms. John Dahl will be having to send her people out to write citations for said mowing violations.
Is this just like repeat offenders?
No, this is not repeat offenders. No, this has nothing to do with this. There's large areas of the city that, turn it Vancouver, going to Neighborhood Market, the city mows that right-of-way. The city mows the right-of-way across Sequoia Way. The city mows the right-of-way on this property that you're talking about right here with Mr. Rude. The city mows right-of-way to keep those right-of-ways looking good. We're no longer going to mow that according to this because we're not supposed to mow that. It's up to the property owner to mow that. And if they do not mow that, then they will get violations. Has nothing to do with any repeat offenders. These are people that have been mowed in the past, but they will not be mowed in the future. So,
So one clarification, because I was talking to Ms. John Dahl before she had to leave. An improved lot is one thing. An unimproved lot, they will have to mow the right-of-way, but not the rest of the unimproved lot. That's my understanding.
Yes.
So some of these, like on Parkway from Knoxville east, that'll have to be mowed from the sidewalk, whatever it is, 8-10 feet back, and then after that, it does not have to be mowed. Was I
Yes.
hearing that correctly?
You'll see that on Parkway East, Parkway West, when you're going out towards the junior high, where you see that well mowed and maintained. That will no longer be well mowed and maintained. You'll see an 8-foot swath mowed. And Mr. Olson had something to say prior to that.
This is something I've been chasing for 6 years now, but I mean, how many times have we talked about this? It's frustrating to me that I don't remember what the number was. It was like 75% of the mowing that the city does is on other people's properties. And that's where we could be using that. And it's not just labor, it's equipment, it's time, all those things. It doesn't sound like much, but man, that's like a 3-man crew, 2-3-man crews, 3-4 days a week that we're doing just for other people, and it's not people that can't afford it either. I mean, this is like people that are waiting on a development they're developers, or whatever. It's not that they can't do it. It's just we're doing it for them. Why would you? So, I think this just throws it back to them and say, look, we've had this ordinance in play. It is, it's slowly, give an inch, take a mile. That's what's happened over the past 10, 15 years, and that's what gotten us to this point now. So, I don't know. It's almost like a crusade for me.
The biggest thing I wanted, you guys to know, because you will be getting calls.
Yes,
Just
absolutely.
letting you know, you will be getting calls, and I want you to know that, I want Mr. Duval to know that he has the support from you, and like I say, there's those situations, and if we do have to, Miss John Dahl, Mr. Whitby, and Mr. Gray also, that are going to be, not you, Mr. Gray, but the other Gray, that is on the code enforcement when they're having to write citations and different things. We just want them to know that they have your support in this, because like Mr. Olson said, It has been on the books. It is in the it's in the code. So it's there. So I just kind of wanted to bring this up to you guys so that we've had this discussion and we know where we're at. If anyone have any questions? No, I think that's good. Is there anything else for the good of the group? Anybody have? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.